live. Hello, everybody. All right. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Protocol Watch. We will be today having a look at the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union.
20, by the way.
That is correct. Just came back early this week. We'll give some updates about what happened over there at some point during the episode. Today we're going to be looking into the ITU, as I was mentioning. We're going to be having a look at the structure, the governance, and so forth. As you may know, the objective of these streams is to look into how different standard developing organizations function, what kind of resources they produce, what kind of resources they manage, what kind of standards they put out there, what's happening at the moment, what is their governance model, as well as how to participate. And as always, the reason why we want to do this is because we identify SDOs as an obvious choke point in the technology industry, and should one of those SDOs be captured or controlled by nefarious actors, obviously that affects how technology is built and how it's going to be experienced by the final user. We will be using, as we develop the streamings, a number of tools, which I believe I have mentioned before. We're working on having a general mapping on how all of those SDOs function, as well as how they connect, how they relate to each other. And we also be working on positioning them in a global stack in terms of which parts of the tech stack they work, and which resources in that tech stack do they have control over or influence. We are putting all of that together. There is at the moment work in progress with a repository on GitHub where you will have all the information for each of one of the episodes, as well as the information that we research and share during the podcast itself. And you will have access to all of that openly in the repository. We'll also give you the opportunity to collaborate and add information we may not have been able to cover during one of the episodes. And in fact, eventually what we would like is for you to be able to do some research in parallel with us as we dig deeper into certain topics. There is a template that we are also putting together at the moment, and we will be sharing that template for people to have a look at it, as well as all the information through the website that is generated. We're going to be using a combination between GitHub repository and Gitbook for all of that documentation. With me is Mariam Lee.
Hello.
That was a very shy hello. And as well as Tristan Gomez in production.
Hello.
Don't know if you're going to be able to say, hey, there you go, Tristan. All right. Let's begin. So what is this thing about the ITU? As introduced, the ITU is the International Telecommunications Union. This is an organization that has been running for quite some time. We're going to be looking into their history a little bit, and it's an organization that got absorbed under the UN eventually, and that is divided into three sectors. So allow me to start presenting my screen first. So entire screen here. We forgot to do this before we started the stream. Share. There you go. All right. Allow me to take this.
It's a specialized agency under the UN for all things ICT.
That is correct.
In summary. But they are huge.
Yep. I'm going to put here, start sharing screen.
Thank you.
Before the stream. All right, because we're also learning as we go. We are not professionals on podcasting. even less on live streaming, and we want to make sure that we get things as accurately as possible. And so we're going to be taking notes as well as we go for things that we need to get better ready. Mario, you should also get your screen shared already.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have it ready so we can switch anything that you want to show.
Okay, sure.
Now let's begin. The ITU, we can have a little bit of the ITU history. Probably Wikipedia is going to have a bit of information. Oh, there's a website here from the ITU itself. These guys started a long time ago. For all I know, is the oldest SDO. Let's see. They started in 1865. That's 159 years ago. You can imagine. And originally it was known as the International Telegraph Union, which gives you an idea about what kind of work they did at the very beginning. And it got adopted, so apparently the name changed in 1932. And in 47, they got an agreement with the UN, which at that time was also quite new, and it became an agency inside the UN system.
Wow, fresh out of the Second World War.
Yep, absolutely. I see that there's a bit of a history here in the ITU.
Yeah, of course they have to capture that, because I mean, in modern history, that is like considered the first communication network, the telephone. I'm talking about the
telegraph. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not talking about sending smoke signals or sending pigeons, of course. You know, those type of protocols. I don't think anyone can do that anymore. But anyway, we're more looking into the tangibility of the infrastructure itself, the communications network infrastructure itself.
Was it Edison who invented the telephone?
Was it?
Let me see. Graham Bell. There you go. No, Edison was the bulb. Sorry. So there's this thing for the nerds called Chuck Norris facts.
Yeah. Chuck Norris invented the telephone, I'm sure.
No, it was something along the lines of when Graham Bell invented the telephone, the first he got a missed call from Chuck Norris. Jesus. Okay. What matters to us right now is what's the current state of the ITU.
Yep.
And as always, part of the philosophy of the stream is that the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask. You're not supposed to know everything about everything. Yeah. It's okay to not know certain things. It's even better if you don't know, you go and do your own research. That's totally fine. And we will do all of our best to find as much information as possible and to not make it obvious whether we knew about it or not before. There's plenty of stuff that we don't know ourselves, and we just want to discover it as much as we can along the stream. There will be other streams to go deeper in certain areas that we don't have the time to cover today. In summary, don't feel bad if you have never heard about the ITU or the ITF or W3C or any of the other SDOs. That's totally fine. Just have some curiosity and look into it. Now, the ITU itself is subdivided into what's called 3 sectors. The first one is radio communication, the one that you have over here. That's ITU-R.
Yep.
See, it's getting into it, so you can see here the abbreviation, ITU-R. Then there is the standardization one, which is ITU-T. I actually don't know where the T comes from in this particular case.
Technology.
Could be. And then development, ITU-D. So radio communications, for all I know, has to do with the management of the radio spectrum.
Telecommunication, that's where it comes from.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's interesting that the sector itself is called standardization.
Right.
It should be ITU-S, but I'm guessing, there has to be some
Okay. Yeah.
historic reason for that.
Uh-huh.
And the ITUD has to do with developing all the activities from the ITU. Our interest is on the ITUT, not so much on development and not so much on radio communication. That doesn't mean that at some point we wouldn't have a look at it. However, because we are looking primarily on protocols and standards, it makes only sense to start with the ITU. It would be interesting to have a look as well as at the General Secretariat. For all we know at the moment, the ITU works on 4-year cycles.
Yep.
And they have their general system on governance called the plenipotentiary. So the Secretary General is the one managing the ITU, and then every 4 years they have this thing called the plenipotentiary. The plenipot. I always know the abbreviation. Let me see.
Plenipot.
Plenipot ITU.
What does that even mean?
Plenipotentiary Conference. Let's have a look at it very quickly.
Plenipotentiary.
What do they do here? About so the last one was Bucharest 2022. I'm assuming there's going to be, let's see, plenipots. That is
Okay. So a plenipotentiary means a person, especially a diplomat, invested with the full power of independent action on behalf of their government.
Right.
Typically, foreign country, a diplomat.
Yeah. So the ITU is a multilateral environment, as all UN agencies. Essentially, it means that governments are the ones who have delegations over there.
Yep.
In the case of the ITU, we're going to be having a look as well as the type of membership. We can have a look at it right now. Now, generally what you have is country delegations, member states of the UN delegations, which for instance implies that countries and jurisdictions that are not recognized by the UN will not have a seat. They will not have a delegation over there. So I'm thinking about Taiwan, for instance.
Okay.
In the case of the standardization sector, we should be able to see the different types of members. Let me see over here if there's anything on the memberships. Resolutions, quick links.
So what's the difference between the plenipot and the WTSA?
So plenipot is the event where everything ITU at the Secretariat and the general management of the ITU is decided.
Yeah.
And WTSA is where the work for the following study cycle of 4 years will be decided for the ITUT, exclusively for the ITUT.
Okay, makes sense now. Okay. So plenipot is for the entire ITU.
Correct.
Okay.
And for all I know, it doesn't really affect anything on the sectors themselves, except at the management of the sector itself. So the plenipot wouldn't have work. Again, from my understanding, we can have a look if that's actually incorrect. It wouldn't affect what's going to be looked upon or the design of the study groups in ITUT.
Okay.
That would be decided in WTSA.
Okay, understood.
There might be some top-down effect that we can discover. For all I know at the moment, it only happens at the WTSA level. And again, each of one of the sectors have their own WTSA equivalent. In the case of the ITUR, they have this World Radio Communication Conference.
Yeah.
And in the case of development, my guess is that they have something similar as well. Let's see. It would make sense that they have. I don't see any though. So maybe not. Membership benefits. No. So it could be that they don't have.
Oh wow. So I actually look into the difference between plenipotentiary and ambassador. So plenipotentiary uh, has full power to act on behalf of the state compared to an ambassador.
Come again?
So uh, the difference, well, like, I mean, what is the difference between a plenipot
Mm-hmm.
between and the ambassador? Like, what's the difference? So
Well,
the difference is that a plenipotentiary has full power to act on behalf of the state.
but there will be the delegates in that delegation,
Well, I mean,
because the ambassador is for all I know the highest representation of a country abroad.
apparently not as powerful as a plenipot. A plenipot can be an ambassador, but an ambassador may not necessarily be a plenipot.
That's an interesting thing.
Mm.
I would like to double check that a bit more. All right. So in terms of memberships, how to be a part of the ITUT? Let's see here. They have this join us section, and we can have a look at the categories. As you can see here, you've got sector member, associate, and academia. These are going to be in parallel to the delegation. So these are memberships on itself. And you can see here that the different types of membership will have different features, if you will, or capabilities. In the case of a sector member, you essentially can participate into anything, as you can see here on this column. In the case of an associate, you can only participate in one single study group. SG stands for study group. In the startup making process, you also can only participate in one single study group. And the only difference is that in the numbering resources area, you can only participate in study group 2. Okay, we'll have a look at each of one of the study groups as well. And as academia, you also have access to a lot of things as you would do as a sector member, with a few caveats, such as, for instance, not being able to participate in the ITU Council, which we should also have a look at. What's the council? So one thing that I want to stress here is we've been looking into the ITU for quite some time, and documentation as to where to find things and diagrams and so forth are not necessarily straightforward. It's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of overlapping documents. So the Plenipot may issue some regulations or some working methods for some of the study groups, and then that trickles down into how ITUT functions, and then ITUT, based on those working methods or those indications or regulations from the Plenipot, have margin to decide what to do in the following study group. So the next council is going to be, actually was 4 to 14th June 2024, and the council is composed by 48 member states, and it's the union's governing body in the interval between plenipotentiary conferences. Okay. They have a snapshot report here for C24, so I can imagine that they have their nomenclature is going to be C and the year of that particular council meeting. There's working groups, expert groups, remote participation. I'm actually interested in having a look at what are the working groups in the council.
Actually, I just realized I've never looked into ITUD.
ITUD development?
Yeah, I've only looked at ITUT so far. I mean, radio communication, I don't even bother because it's not my field.
Yeah.
So I just look at ITUT. But development. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that.
It's also interesting. It's the way they're going to be putting out whatever has been decided or presented in ITUT is how they develop telecommunication around the world.
Right. Okay. So
Okay.
you do the standard setting agenda in ITUT, and then you actually develop the standard in ITUT.
I'm guessing not only what they have in ITUT, but in general the development of the agenda of the ITU. That would be
Ah,
we can have a look at what's their mandate in
okay.
particular. Let's say what do they do in ITUD
Uh,
about the ITUD.
I'm gonna look at their weekly highlights.
Mm-hmm. So by their definition is the ITUD works to close the digital divide and drive digital transformation to leverage the power of ICTs for economic prosperity, job creation, digital skills development, gender equality, diversity, a sustainable and circular economy, and for saving lives. There's a lot of blah 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 in that message, but okay. Its work prioritizes those most in need, from people living in the world's least developed countries to marginalized communities everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so it's development on itself, as you would have any other NGO that works in development to improve and upscale people's lives. In this case, in the telecommunications side of things.
Okay. It's still not very clear to me, but okay, I'll come back to it.
Yep. And so I'm interested in looking at very quickly at the working groups from the council. That's what I have on the screen at the moment.
ITUT?
The the ITU council, the general council, the one that happens in between the plenipots. So as defined here, it acts as the union governing body in between the plenipotentiary conferences. So I'm guessing it is bestowed with governance of the ITU after each of one of the plenipots in between. So every plenipot very likely elects the 48 ITU member states that are going to be inside the council.
Right.
And so the council has these working groups on international internet-related public policies. That's something we may want to keep an eye on. Child online protection. There's always an interesting topic. The issue is how, more often than not, as of late, it is a topic that is weaponized in order to push for some agendas that may not be as oriented to child protection as you may hope. As in, it's a very, very easy argument to say that you want to protect children and from being abused and so forth, all of the CSAM stuff, but then they use that as an argument to try to take down end-to-end encryption.
Right.
And so it's not always clear that the ultimate real objective is to protect the children, as opposed to use it as an excuse to do
other things.
Yeah. They have another working group on YSIS and SDG. So for those who may not know, YSIS stands for, you will see, World Summit on the Information Society. This was something that happened a few years ago. It was a two-phase convening. And out of the YSIS, back in 2003 and 2005, came the Internet Governance Forum, which is another...
Child.
I don't actually know how to define what the AGF is in terms of...
Origin.
No, what's the type of object? I'm always thinking of objects. Governance Forum. Is it it's not an agency?
No.
It's how would they define
forum.
this? It's a multi-stakeholder governance group. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So basically, this thing was put together as a result of one of the recommendations from WISIS in 2005. There's a document where that is stated. We'll do some digging on that once we start looking into internet governance. And WISIS plus 20 just happened earlier this year, and there's been discussions as to whether the IGF is going to get its mandate renewed or what. In essence, it's good to keep an eye on anything that has to do with WISIS, because it is part of the UN's agenda on internet governance. And that's always something that you want to keep an eye on, specifically with the upcoming GDC, that stands for Global Digital Compact, which seems to be a much more ambitious orientation towards internet governance on the part of the UN. There's another working group on financial and human resources. There's one on languages. There's one on an expert group on decision 482. What is decision 482? Let's see. Decision 482 ITU. What is this thing?
Oh, wow.
Implementation of cost recovery for satellite network filings. I got no idea what it is. I'm not sure I want to look into this right now. Cost recovery for satellite network filings. Okay. At the moment, not something we want to look into. Let's stay there. Then ITRs. Expert group on ITRs. What's an ITR? So ITU, ITR. International telecommunication regulations. Okay, that makes sense. Council working group on strategic and financial plan. That's fine. Informal expert group on the World Telecommunication ICT Policy Forum. That's fine. Also something we may want to keep an eye on. And former whatever council working committees, which is concluded. I'm guessing we may want to have, let's just have a quick look just for the sake of making sure we are not leaving something behind. All of those former ITU council working groups, that's a lot of them. There's some WISIS here. As you can see, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, there's a lot of information to keep an eye on. Review of ITU structure. This could be interesting. Oh, great. Yeah, for some reason, this one is not loading. We're still on, right? We're not having any connectivity issues, are we?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, this one is not loading. Go figure why. All right.
I'm actually at this page of Network of Women in ITUT.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the same program in any of the ITU R or ITUD. I think only in ITUT that they have this Network of Women thing.
No idea. I'm trying to see who are the current member states.
Oh, the 48 member states?
Yep.
Okay. When do we
I would like to see that. About ITUT communication. No. Program documents, participation, venue. No.
like 48 out of 48 or 48 out of 150 plus?
Yeah, from all the member states, 48 of them are in the council.
Member
So
states.
we should be able to find ITU council.
So any state that is a member of the UN is also a member of the ITU? No, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
it's
automatically.
automatic.
Yeah.
Okay. So out of the 150 countries in the UN,
How many member states does the UN
um,
member? Epa. It's gonna be
I
more than
know
that.
54. I think in the member state. Oh, 193.
That makes more sense to me.
Okay, 193 now. Member states to the UN.
So you will be able to find.
Why 48?
It's a subset of it. It's an
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
elected amount of them.
Oh, elected.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the plenty pot
Elects the member
likely
state.
selects, yes. There's going to be
Okay.
candidates and an election and so forth, whatever is the process.
Okay.
We probably will go down that investigation as well to figure out how it goes. Now, at the moment, the council membership from 2023 to 2026 would have a subdivision of different regions: A, B, C, D, and E. So that's the Americas, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Northern Asia. Africa for region D, and then region E is Asia and Australasia. And for what concerns us, since we are based in Malaysia, Malaysia is currently part of the ITU Council, which I remember we heard about it. And so,
Which council is Malaysia part of?
of the ITU Council,
Oh, now, yeah,
Malaysia
yeah,
is part of the 48 at the moment until 2026. I remember reading the news about it.
Okay, yeah.
My guess is that the delegation here is coming from MCMC, although it's unconfirmed. Maybe it would be the ministry directly. Go figure. That's also something we may want to
The
connect.
ministry to new. The Ministry of Digital, you mean?
Yeah, so whichever was before in 2023, before it got split into two. And now it will be a matter of knowing which one of them, if it's the ministry that sends the delegation.
But this should still be under MCMC's telecommunications.
I guess because the MCMC is the one that is involved with WTSA. However, because this is some
fairly
kind of
new.
and somehow higher up, I could imagine that it's not MCMC who's
MCMC is only a commission.
Yeah.
Ministry of Digital is a ministry itself.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So it would be interesting to know, even though it may change per country, because that might be the prerogative of each of one of the delegations to decide where the delegates come from.
Okay.
It would be interesting, at least in the case of Malaysia, to try to figure out who's sending the delegates. So if I go for region E, designation, and if I go to Malaysia, for instance.
Actually, it's a ministry in itself, Ministry of Communications of Malaysia.
Oh, look at that. No. Delegation is actually
Listed?
yes, and there is associate members there. So the delegation comes from the Ministry of Communications, as well as MCMC. And then in the case of ITUT, there's also FNS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for other participation, Ancasa X is an associate for study group 4. Celcom Digital National Berhad, so DNB, is also in ITUR.
SIO.
Which one?
Category.
Good question.
Operator.
ROA, SIO, so categories, no idea. That's a good question. You should take it down and we should try to investigate one day.
Sounds like an operator. Ancasa can be considered.
So Ancasa wasn't doing things on satellite. Let's see. Ancasa X. These guys were behind that relate to Picom. We need to have a
okay. Go back.
account. So this is another thing. some of the information on the ITU is public access and some other is restricted, and you need to have what's called a TIES account, TIES, to be able to have access to that. I may also have to say that anything that we go down or that we explain during this stream obviously has to be related to public information that we can find on the websites. The IO Foundation is participating actively in some of these processes, and some of the information on those processes is confidential, and of course we cannot disclose what is being discussed over there. I can also see that there is academia, multimedia university, as well as UITM. That's also interesting, because I would have expected or hoped for all the universities to also be involved.
Maybe they don't know.
Maybe that will probably be part of our awareness campaign with the local ecosystem. All right, so the delegation is definitely varied, and it comes from at least the two usual suspects, Ministry of Communication as well as MCMC, and then a number of
So yeah, now we can confirm it is an actual ministry in itself.
yeah. And my impression, I should have closed that if we go, for instance, to say China, just for
fun,
interest of it, yes, you see how many, my gosh,
amazing.
that is a lot of associates,
and they're not just in one category.
my gosh, that's a lot of participation.
Where's Huawei? Huawei is in everything, of course.
Of course they are here. Yes. and
Go to the US. Let's see the US.
Let's see the US.
Yeah.
Is the US part of the council at the moment? We do not know. Let's have a look. In the Americas, United States, yes, it is.
Okay.
And if I go to the US, we're probably gonna have a lot of them too.
I mean, I would expect so. I would expect the US would also send,
AT&T.
but not as much as China.
Yeah, so the reason why this is to me interesting.
We should really analyze this. This is like good data.
Yeah, so this is the kind of things we'll be mapping, but we are still building the mapping itself. Now, the reason why this is interesting to me, it's because there is this thing here in the. So I'm going to summarize again. I'm going to go back to it. There is this sector member membership category. There is the associate, and there is academia. Sector members have access to everything, and associates have access to one single study group. We'll get into the study groups now. So if I'm looking at the United States, I know that Google Fiber is just an associate and is only participating in study group 15. However, Intel Corporation is going to be a sector member, which has access to everything.
Right.
That's why they have here the X, because those are sector members, not associates. The reason why that matters to me is because when we go to the membership fees, prepare yourself, because this is a lot of money. So a sector member needs to pay 31,000
CHF.
So that's Swiss francs. So CHF to USD. Let's run it at 32. Because who cares? That's $37,000 a year. Small
So big
companies,
corporations can afford it. Of
correct.
course.
That's actually a lot of money.
And it's a cost. It explains why the companies are not participating.
I mean, if you don't have the budget, unless you're a big company, you're not going to be able to afford this.
Exactly.
And if you want to participate at least a little bit and being an associate, which, as they say here, focuses on a specific topic, then it's 1/3 of that. So it's still about 10 to 12,000 a year, which is still not small money. Now, this matters specifically because from an NGO perspective, good luck having the money to be able to do this.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not talking only about the money for the membership itself.
Yeah.
It's also the money you need to invest as resources to be able to follow with every single process that is involved in the ITU, with all the meetings, etc.
It's labor intensive. It's time intensive.
Yep.
Yeah. And not to mention the meetings, the in-person ones. You need to
Yes.
also consider logistics.
I was going to that as well. If you are going to be going to the study group meetings, they happen in Geneva. I don't know if they happen anywhere else. To the very least.
They have a regional office in Bangkok. ITU, right?
Yes, but because SG17 is going to be, for instance, the security one,
Yeah.
Because it brings in all the members that are participating in that particular group, you're not going to have them fly in different places around the world.
No.
They're going to go to Geneva.
Yeah.
And Geneva doesn't happen to be a cheap place.
No, it's not.
So you can imagine this just piles on when it comes to NGOs trying to get involved with the ITU sector, with the ITU habitat. It's very, very expensive. And if you go to academia, you're still talking about what, $3,000 plus a year.
Yeah.
What that means is the best bet for an NGO at the moment is what we do at the IOF, which is to engage with your own national delegation and try to have a little bit of influence as to what is done and what is said. However, what is clear is that you are going to be a member of a delegation that has to go with a unified position, meaning you will go through a number of meetings with your delegation members to decide what's going to be the position of the delegation. And if the delegation decides something that is not aligned with your own advocacy, for instance, you have to suck it up and defend it, because you're there for the delegation. You're not there for your particular interests, which a sector member is not bound to. So Intel, for instance, can go there and
go as
correct and
Huawei
propose
goes as Huawei.
correct.
Google goes as Google.
Yeah. And so imagine countries that may have strategies to not only use their own delegations, but also their private companies that might be heavily influenced because of policy or because how the jurisdiction and the business framework functions in that country. They may actually have more influence or potential influence than a country that only has one single delegation. In fact, if we look at what a sector member can do, let's see in terms of voting and stuff. Study groups, TSB.
It's not very accessible, is it?
For NGOs, definitely not, and for small and medium companies, no, neither.
Yeah.
So, for instance, they have in the standard making process, they do have final decision making, whereas an associate doesn't.
Associates get to say we're friends with them. They don't get to do anything.
I mean, associates can try to influence a little bit, but for instance, they cannot be a working party chair.
Yeah.
And they cannot be a study group chair nor a vice chair. You cannot propose someone who is an associate to be a chair. That sort of tilts things in one particular direction.
Yeah. The structure is designed to concentrate power at the very top.
Yes, it's a multilateral environment. And so you can imagine the concern that the civil society sector has been having with the GDC, where the Internet Governance Forum, being a multi-stakeholder environment, you have the possibility to be sitting at the table and to expose your opinions and your ideas. In the case of the GDC, which is supposed to be, at the moment, a trilateral environment, between governments, so governments, corporate, and civil society. Now,
what? Civil society is not here.
In the GDC, yes.
Oh, in GDC.
With
Okay,
the
okay.
with the current model of governance that is being discussed.
Right. Okay.
Now, what happens is the technical community is nowhere to be seen.
Right.
It is
Yeah.
essentially absorbed by civil society,
Mm.
and somehow also they claim that it's also part of the corporate sector. It's just not. It's a bit muffled, in my opinion, and my personal position is that they are just setting aside the technical community because it's an uncomfortable community for most people. The technical community tends to get things done, and they don't really delve much into nonsense and policy making and so forth and back and forth. The technical community really unusual.
They just want things to work.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we see here the categories. This is how you will be able to participate in ITUT. For those of you who might be interested in doing anything, check whether your company is involved and whether they would like to get involved. Otherwise, have a look at what would be the pathway, the organizations that are participating in the ITUT, and try to reach out to them and see if you can do anything together. There might be some membership associations. In the case of Malaysia, for instance, you have the Malaysia Technical Standard Forum Berhad, MTSFB, which is the IO Foundation is a member of MTSFB.
Yep.
And that's how we get to participate in ITUT processes. We will have a look at it in some of the jurisdictions, and we are more than happy if anyone gives us feedback and you would like to concentrate. If you ask us to have a look as to how would it play out in France, we are more than happy to just have a small episode giving a look into some of the jurisdictions and figuring out what would be the pathway. And again, this is something that we want to put on the mapping, so that you can, depending on where you are, you figured out what is the pathway for you to participate in different SDOs.
It's actually quite exciting. I mean, at one glance, it can look quite boring.
It looks overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting once you are
Once
inside.
you're there,
Yeah.
once you're in the inside, yeah.
We would definitely encourage and recommend anyone who's minimally interested on what's going on from a technical perspective out there to have a little bit of insight on what's going on in the ITU. Pretty much any of the SDOs, the ITU being definitely in that top 10. And part of the work that we are trying to do is to try to simplify all of that overwhelming amount of information so that you can consume it in smaller bits. We are just getting started with these streamings. Eventually, we hope to be able to give you more summarized information on the whole thing. All right, so let's have a look at what's the structure of the ITUT. The ITUT is structured on a number of groups, and you can have here the list. So I just went to the all groups section here on the standardization tab. The first one is TSAG. Is the
Secretary.
no, is the advisory group.
Oh, advisory group. Okay.
I can't remember what the S was about. Let's have a look. Standardization. Okay, that was an obvious one. The Telecommunications Standardization Advisory Group. And what these guys do is, let's see if they have a definition about TSAG. Oh, right. So the ultimate sorry, I need a cough button. The ultimate aim of the Telecommunications Standardization Advisory Group, or TSAG, is to make the ITUT the most attractive place to come to do standards work. That's quite a statement. It's an advisory group, of course.
Did they use the word what? No. They use the word what? Attractive?
Yeah,
On what merit? I mean,
yeah, on which, yeah. What's
I
the,
mean, no
what's the premise there?
But I mean, I wouldn't use the word attractive. It's a very niche and specialized interest. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you only attract people who are really interested in this. The general public, nah, definitely not. Yeah.
the general public has no idea the ITU exists to begin
Yeah.
with.
You're like the invisible hand.
Mm. Um, so they overhaul ITUT working methods, yada yada yada.
Okay, so I guess this is why they've been coming up with such programs like Network of Women. This is also where they have the ITU digital programs. Perhaps this is why.
Perhaps. So there seem to be some kind of um, intention of acceleration or to facilitate work. So they say, on average, a standard ITUT a recommendation, which took as much as 4 years to approve back in the 80s, can now be approved in about 9 weeks. All right. So it's probably some part of their mandate is likely to accelerate the work so
Yeah, to
things don't
increase
get stagnant.
effectiveness and efficiency. And then I also see on the last line to resolve any issues between the study groups.
Right.
Yeah. So they act as intermediators.
Yep. Okay.
Cool. Who are
Mm-mm.
they? Can we see?
Let's have a look at that. Responsible for the working procedures defined in the A series recommendations. That's another thing. There's a lot of recommendations. Each of one of them are categorized in different letter series. There's A series, B series, etc. We should also have a look at that eventually. So, who is the composition of the TSAG?
That's quite the job scope.
Yes. About TSAG and study groups. Let's see here. Are we going to the same page? Yep.
Same page. Not exactly. Oh yeah, it is same page.
I don't see here.
Information on the members.
Yeah. Let's see if by any chance we can find something here. All right. TSAG members. So the management team for the study period 2022-2024. Okay, so there's this thing to consider. Study groups, as mentioned, are typically 4 years cycles. Because of the pandemic, the previous cycle was only 2 years. And they are trying to catch up again, and they are using another 2-year cycle so that they can again start in proper multiples of 4. So the previous one, I believe, was 2020 to 2022, and then now 2022 to 2024, and then the next study cycle should be between 2024 to 2028, 2027 maybe, if they want to count the number of years properly. Okay, so we have a chair here from Saudi Arabia, vice chair is from Ghana, another vice chair from Jordan, Uzbekistan, France, more from Romania, Cote d'Ivoire, China. There's plenty of vice chairs. Canada, Mexico, and Japan. That's what? 8 or 10 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 vice chairs, if my count is correct. And then WP, which I'm not 100% sure what it stands for, working P whatever. There's a counselor, there's an advisor. I don't really recognize any names at the moment. Administrative assistant, small counselors. All right. Again, this is more mapping to be done so that we can see who is coming from where and which interest they might be representing. So NEC Corporation, that's IFETEL. I can imagine that's probably the ministry in Mexico for telecommunications. Instituto Federal de Telecomunicaciones. What is this? Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, just drag.
Yeah. It's an independent government agency of Mexico. Okay. So those are the members for the TSAC. And there's also some rapporteur groups. On strategic and operational planning, working methods, WP1. I keep saying this WP1 here. Plan, I wouldn't be surprised that it may be short for plenipotentiary. But WP, I'm not 100% sure why the P.
Working party.
Working party, yes. Yeah, that might be. WTSA rapporteur, Li Fang. Okay. Working party 2 for industry engagement and metrics. Work program and restructuring, study group work, study group coordination, sustainable digital transformation.
I wonder what they use for their file management.
Oh, go figure. All right. And there's a structure here that could be interesting if there is. My gosh, again. Would be great if they had diagrams. We're gonna have to come to the rescue with our mapping system. So plan is plenary, okay. WP1 is working methods, preparations. So maybe that's the P. Actually no, because work program for WP2, so it could be working party, as you say. Focus groups on metaverse. This word is coming up in way too many places and is not necessarily used as what people understand as the metaverse.
Yeah, it's a buzzword. I don't think you should be like doing standardization work based on a buzzword.
Well, welcome to the world of standards. Joint coordination activity, accessibility and human factors, COVID-19 certificates, that scares the hell out of me. Quantum key distribution network, that's going to be also interested.
I mean, at the very least, they should define what it is, no? Like a sub-universe is also a metaverse.
We are not in a position to comment about the ongoing work on the metaverse in WTSA.
Really?
Yeah, that's still.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know what it's in there. It's just I'm just commenting on the fact that they use the word.
Yeah, I think what we can say is that the current interpretation of metaverse in the ITU might not be what people in general understand as metaverse. It seems to be
something
expanding
else.
or
Okay.
in areas that you may have known as other terms before, and it seems to be this very encapsulating concept. Doesn't necessarily look good. Okay, so the management team, that's what we already had over there. All right, so that's with the TSAG. Yes.
To you.
Did it move out? Okay, let me have a look at this.
John looks okay on my camera.
Yeah, I thought I was somehow.
Oh yeah, you. Okay, yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Maybe
you
if I
need
just.
to move to your right.
Yes, and so in order to do that, I need to change a little bit the pan. Let's see what happens. Is that better? You like it better? Okay. Right, so we are there, the TSAC, that's clear. Let's go back to the all groups. There is this thing about the study groups, we'll get into that now. These regional groups, focus groups, joint coordination activities, intersector rapporteur groups, my gosh. Collaboration on ITS communication standards, standardization committee for vocabulary, that sounds interesting to me. CTO group, all right. TSB director ad hoc group on intellectual property rights, okay. And ITU WMO UNESCO IOC joint task force. That's a lot of stuff to look into. Okay, so very quickly, let's first have a look at the study groups. The study groups are basically the technical groups where work is done from a standards perspective. And you can see here that there are a number of them. How study groups are defined and what are the subject matters that each of one of them will be looking into is determined in WTSA events every 4 years. WTSA, by the way, we will have a specific episode on that as we approach WTSA 24, which will happen in Delhi in October 15th to 24th. TIF will be there if everything goes as expected. And WTSA stands for World Telecommunications Standardization Assembly. It is also noteworthy that the day before the WTSA starts, there is also this Global Standard Symposium event. So that will be on Monday, GSS.
Or WTSA.
We will be looking into more details of all of this in that particular episode, which will be 1 or 2 weeks before WTSA. We're interested in knowing exactly what is being discussed in this GSS thing. As you can see, there's a lot of fora where standards are being discussed, and that's because standards matter a lot. Now, we will go at some point through the history of the different study groups. As you can see, not all sequential numbers are there. So you got SG1 that is missing, SG4 as well. 6, 7, 8 is also not there. And that's because at some point those study groups would make sense. They would be chartered in order to resolve specific problem that has been identified. And once their objective is done, they may disappear or they may merge with other study groups. We will look through the documentation to figure out exactly what are the whole procedures. If I'm not wrong, there is at the moment some changes that are being proposed for the study groups. Again, this is pretty much confidential information at this stage, so we can't really reveal anything, but there is some reshuffling happening. I think that's fair to say. And well, you can see there the title of each of one of the study groups: operational aspects, economic and policy issues, yada yada yada. The ones that TIOF has been interested in has been SG13, future networks, as well as
as well as 17.
Yeah, security. 17 for security. You want to have a look at future networks, Mariam?
We can do that.
So let's see, SG13.
Have we attended anything in SG13? No, right?
Not at the moment. We don't have the capacity.
No, yeah. So we focus on SG17.
So SG13 focuses on non-radio networking aspects of IMT 2020. So IMT 2020, let's see what's the definition of that. It's a International Mobile Telecommunications 2020. It's kind of a future, the future of mobile telecommunications. Let's put it that way. IMT 2020 is also known as 5G apparently. Now the interesting part for me in the language is and beyond. This opens the door for a lot of margin in the future, and that's a good thing and a bad thing depending on what is being done. Essentially, what you would hope is for an SDO to remain in the area of mandate that was supposed to be assigned for that SDO, and for them not to grow on other areas. So for instance, I would like the ITF to just concentrate on TCP/IP related work and leave the ITU out of it. And we know that there's some overlaps and that there's some work as well overlapping with ICANN and so forth. And this is part of what we're going to be also presenting in coming episodes. So that's for SG13. And if we look at SG17, oh, did I? No.
So things like new IP and things like that will be discussed here.
Very likely on future networks, yeah. And new IP we'll eventually do, and also an episode just dedicated on that. Is one of the scariest things that has been moving around in the SDO sector. That was a proposal to essentially re-architecture the internet, and if that ever comes to pass, some of the new features of that network are not conducive with, you would call it human rights.
Yeah, but where can we see it? Where can we see new IP stuff?
Come again?
Where can we see new IP stuff?
Where?
Can we see them at ITU?
We might, yes. So ITU was where the new IP proposal was submitted.
Oh, okay.
And we should be able to see whatever happened in the previous study cycles, even what might be going on in the current study cycle. We, however, are unable to discuss any developments at the current preparation for WTSA that may include new IP, because again, that's going to be confidential information, and we can't release any of that. We cannot discuss it. So as the definition of SG17 would be that it coordinates security-related work across all ITUT study groups, but it also issues their own standards when it comes to cybersecurity, security management, architecture, and so forth. I believe that SG17 issues a lot of ITUT recommendations from the X series. I'm gonna double check that. ITU X series. X series recommendation. You should be able to see here the full list of recommendations. That would be for ITUT. No, there is ITUTX series recommendations. No, that's not what I mean. The category here. Yeah, ITUT study group 17. There is a whole, let's see if I can find the recommendation list. There was the series. ITU radio recommendations. There was a page that I found once on the whole categorization of recommendations. Telling you which one was. There you go. So A to M series here. You will have a general recommendations that have different categories. They use one of the letters of the alphabet, and depending on where do they fall, so if it's anything that has to do with telegraph transmission, it will be an R recommendation. If it's data communication over a telephone network, it will be a V recommendation. And for the most part, anything that has to do with protocols with ICT, it will be an X recommendation. It would be also interesting to look sometime at the Y, because that's global information, infrastructure, internet protocol aspects. Let's see, smart cities, next generation networks. That could be what new IP is, basically future networks as well. Well, the thing is, unless, my guess is that unless this is approved, frameworks and functional architecture models, because new IP did not go anywhere, I don't believe that there's going to be nothing over here. Functional architecture of multi-connection, let's say just this. Multipath transmission in control. So that's the document. This was approved in 2012. What does this look like? It would be nice if we just have opened this in another tab instead of having to save it. Let's see if it does.
It's asking you to save.
Yeah. Just gonna save very quickly, see if I can open this. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So this seems to be typical. Okay, here. This is a list of recommendations. Let's browse very quickly on this document. Conventions, abbreviations, general architecture, page 3. Let's see what they say on the general architecture. Tristan, are we playing the background music?
No.
Oh, we are doing the streaming.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it was just the rain.
All
What's
right.
the title again? This is ITUT. The title of the document.
Oh, that's recommendation Y
Why?
Y.2027. So OC layer 1 and 2, OC layer 3, 4 and 5 to 7. Okay. TCP. Yeah, they are definitely discussing things on TCP/IP here. Interesting. All right. It's a lot to digest. It's a lot to connect. So anyway, where I wanted to go with this is that the study groups take care of a number of areas, and they will be so the way it works is WTSA events will determine
What
Determine,
topics to
you
cover?
say determine or determine?
Is it
Determine?
determined?
I never quite that one right.
Correct.
How the structure of the study groups as well as the topics that they're going to be having. And then there's also a number of documents called resolutions that
Yeah.
will be indicating all of those areas of work.
Yeah.
And in the 18 months leading to WTSA, all the delegations per region will discuss what are going to be their contributions for changes and for suggestions for that upcoming WTSA, which is part of the processes in which the AO Foundation is involved. It's a very long process. And basically you need to agree as much as possible with everybody. We will have a look at how that functions in our upcoming episode on the Asia Pacific Telecommunity, APT, which is a secretariat. It's an organization that works as a secretariat to consolidate all the contributions, all the inputs, from not only the delegations but also from the associate members, etc., etc. All right, so for that would be all for the study groups.
Why do I need to download? Where does this download go?
It will download into the downloads folder, and then you can just click on the downloaded file on the
Okay,
top
but
right.
it will take up space in our.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Now let's go back to the different groups. So regional groups, what are they? So resolution 54, as I was mentioning before, that there's a number of documents that govern how the ITUT functions, and those are known as resolutions. And there's a number of them. Let's see if I can actually give you the full list.
Regional group?
That's 54. So 54 determines that. And if you go to WTSA resolutions and opinions, the 22 edition, so each one of the WTSAs issues their own sets of resolutions and opinions. The resolution is a stronger document than an opinion. I believe the difference that is the resolutions are binding, whereas opinions are just, as they sound, opinions. And if you remember from the ITF episode, RFCs don't get updated. Meaning, once you have published RFC 34, there is no version 2.0 of 34. There might be RFC 78, which supersedes 34, and it is indicated in the header of the RFC, meaning every single new version is just a new document, and the number goes in sequence, and there's a whole procedure to make sure that the sequence is properly respected. In the case of ITU, resolutions would be somehow part of the what the RFCs do, because RFCs cover not only the technical standards but also policies that regulate ITF, for instance. And so resolutions will have the same equivalent use, if you will, as an RFC, with the difference that they get updated. And so as you can see, there's a resolution 1 revision Geneva 2022. That is because that is the version that was that came out from the WTSA that took place in Geneva in 2022. And there's going to be previous editions with, for instance, if I can find over here. All right. So out of Geneva in 2022, a number of resolutions came out. And if no change has been done, you will still see, for instance, in resolution 11, Hammamet 2016, which means that still carries on from the previous version that was agreed in Hammamet in a previous meeting, as well as 31, which is Dubai 2012. For anything that may change in the upcoming WTSA, those will become resolution, say resolution 1, revision Delhi 2024, or New Delhi. I'm not sure how they're going to be doing the nomenclature there. So as you can see here, there's a number of resolutions, and each of one of them touches different areas. Some are very specific, facilitating the implementation of the Smart Africa Manifesto. That's resolution 86. Fine. We will go through the process as to how those resolutions get proposed and updated during the APT episode. But essentially, each of one of the delegations will propose contributions to those changes or to the request of no change, NOC, for a specific resolution. Those changes are then discussed by the different delegations, and should they arrive to a common agreement, then that moves forward towards WTSA, where it will get discussed with all the other delegations of the world. Now, was 54 that we were discussing here. So as you can see here, resolution 54 is creation of and assistance to regional groups. And regional groups, okay, we see Africa, America, Arab region, Asia Pacific, and EECAT.
So does it mean that every study group will now have a regional subcat?
No, the ITUT has regional groups. So let's say, for instance, Asia and Pacific region. That's a pretty picture of a temple in Thailand. I am assuming that's Thailand. So in here, partners in the region, Asia Pacific Telecommunications, yes, okay. That's where we participate through MTSFB. Oh, you might be right. You might be right that there is specific regional groups per study group, as I can see there.
That's how I understood the.
I mean, we could actually have a look at the actual resolution on itself. See what it says. In English. All right, so we will have to do a specific episode just on the structure of these documents, because it's also quite unique. Another thing is, you will see that there is a trace of the resolution itself. So obviously this resolution started in Florianopolis in 2004, was revisited in Johannesburg 2008, was also revisited during Dubai 2012, also in Hammamet 2016, and then finally in Geneva 2022. And these documents have a structure. I don't know exactly what is the origin of this structure. It's very likely the way it was in the UN from the very beginning, and it must probably have populated down.
It looks like a very UN document.
Yeah.
It has a what do you call it? Not introduction, the preamble, and then you have who's recognizing this, who's considering this.
There's a term for that. I can't remember what it is. Yeah.
A structure.
Yes. So the items inside the structure, they have a name.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember. I found it somewhere because I was digging some of the documentation to try to figure out where
okay.
are each of one of the segment definitions. I can't remember the term. It's bugging me right now.
Okay, okay.
And there's actually
Template.
no documentation to be found. And I've been asking around, and nobody seems to know with
So
precision.
people just follow this template
Yeah.
because
So, for
it's
instance, let me give you a very quick. Where did we have the ITO resolutions?
well, nothing wrong with it. It's just, I mean, because they have so much, they have been around for so long, and there's so much has been done, so they have to be historical in any new work.
Yeah. So
Seems like it.
it becomes like a legend. Like at
Yeah,
some point, the origin of the whole thing gets lost in
yeah.
translation.
Like if you want to do something on human rights, you would have something in the recognizing, for example, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
But the structure of the document itself,
Yeah,
you would hope that there is a document indicating
oh,
these are different segments that you can have, and this is what they
yeah,
mean. So what does considering mean? What does noting
yeah,
mean? What does further noting mean?
got it.
What
Yeah,
does recommending mean?
yeah, yeah,
So the ITF, for instance, have an RFC indicating what must not, shall and shall not mean.
yeah,
So everyone is on the same page when you read that particular term.
yeah.
In this particular case,
Yeah, we don't know what it means.
the
Exactly.
the
We
actual yeah,
assume that people know what it means.
correct.
So, yeah.
And there's an understanding. I mean, considering, yeah, everyone understands what considering means. But what are the actual implications from a mandate perspective inside the structure of the organization? Maybe considering has no implication, maybe it does.
Yeah.
So if you look at the resolutions for the TSA, resolution 1 is rules of procedure of the ITU telecommunications standardization sector of the ITUT. You would expect that there is an actual definition on how those resolutions work and what will be the structure. Well, there isn't. It's not there. There is somewhere something called the A series that also has information on how the working methods and so forth function. Still not there.
Right.
And I've been looking around as much information as I could, just going down that rabbit hole, and I still haven't found a specific document. So I'm
Right.
thinking that one day we'll just make an episode just to try to figure that out,
Okay.
because it's very important. If you look at again, this has a term. I can't remember exactly what was the general name for it. So you have considering here, and you've got recognizing and noting. So there has to be an actual definition of the difference between recognizing and noting.
Yeah. That's true. Note what? Recognize what?
So I'm assuming that recognizing means I take the following as truth. I recognize that there's a growing level of participation and involvement of developing countries in all the ITS study groups. So that's not
I
recognizing
can also note that.
Correct. But you,
Yeah.
you see what I mean? So a recognition seems to have a certain degree of acceptance of truth. Whereas in the case of noting, they say noting A, the need to increase the participation of developing countries. So maybe noting has a perception towards the future as a tendency, whereas a recognition is an actual fact, established situation. And those little differences between the terms are very important to be able to know if I'm going to be making a contribution into this document, where do they fall? Am I observing something that is an actual reality, or am I proposing something? Am I making a forecast?
That's right. Yeah.
Bearing in mind, hello? What do you mean bearing in mind?
Did somebody just make that up?
So that's the thing. Taking into consideration, recognizing further, hello?
Why don't you just put that under recognizing?
So my point is that if they are using those different word that I cannot remember, there has to be a distinction between all of those terms.
Yeah.
and I cannot find anywhere a definition of those terms. And the people that I have asked to, they also don't know where. And some of them are people who have been in the ITU sector for the longest time.
Yeah.
And it's just people seem to be just floating there and doing their best. Resolves.
Bearing in mind.
So those are the conclusions. Resolves. And then invites. And you can invite different actors inside the
even
instructs.
during the discussions of the contribution, the difference between invite and instruct would have significant impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although in this case, it seems more straightforward, as in I'm inviting you, you're not bound by it.
No,
Instruct, you are bound.
Yeah, that's right.
But for instance, calls upon the director of the TSB. What do you mean by call? How mandated are they? Are they really? Can the director of the TSB ignore that particular call?
Yeah.
Or is it bound to do it? Because the paragraph above says instructs the director of the TSB. It's really confusing.
They can do that.
Yeah. So, just so you know, we're going to be probably doing some daily shorter streams, looking to each of one of those documents sometimes every now and then as things get relevant for undergoing or ongoing circumstances or ongoing situations in these SDOs. We might be looking, so maybe we will spend the whole episode looking into resolution 54 or whatever it is. And we might be looking into resolution 84, which is the one that, let's see if resolution's over here. Resolution 84 has to do with studies concerning the protection of users of telecommunication, information, and communication technology services. And I would say that it's not a problem to disclose that TIOF is in fact involved with work on Resolution 84, because of course it has to do with our advocacy.
Oh, they've already listed that before. They have already listed that?
No, because that's the 84 existing coming out from Geneva in 2022. Yeah. That's the current state of the document, and our work is for modification of that document for WTSA 24 in New Delhi. I'm now curious as to what other regions might be doing in other study groups. Let's see. Let's say the Africa one. Okay, they got different regional groups. All right. There's one specific on security for Africa and another one for SG 13. All right.
Wow, there is an index for ICT development.
Where?
Under international and under ITU Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific.
I'll be back to that.
Yeah. No, you're now in Africa, so it's okay. Oh, you can share my screen.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
How do I switch this?
Share your screen directly.
Oh, thank you, Tristan. So this was from here.
Mm-hmm.
From the Asia Pacific side page that we were on just now, and then I came here, and the publication is here. It looks new.
Yeah, that's related to WTSA 24.
Oh. So how do you measure ICT development? What are the
criteria?
Criteria, yeah.
It's opening on the tab.
Yeah, I know. Oh, they even include the data set. Okay.
Gosh,
So much work, man.
I'm not sure you want to put that.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
what should I put?
we haven't had this situation before, so I wouldn't know.
Okay, never mind then. But okay. Oh,
Yeah,
right. Okay.
let me just go back. While you do that, I will go back to the different ITUT groups. Okay, so we had the regional groups that's done, the focus groups. I'm guessing these are ad hoc groups, response to immediate ICT standardization demands, open to organizations outside IT. Oh, this is interesting. So focus groups, let me see.
Oh, there's no option for NGOs. So the entities that is recognized to download a copy of this index:
Yeah,
government, private sector, international or regional organization or association, academia, intergovernmental organization, media or press, and then other.
then we are others.
Right.
Damn it.
Are we not international organization?
No,
Okay, but
that international organizations would be
I.
ILO and
Oh, right, right.
that kind
Okay.
of organizations.
Okay.
I'm guessing. Um, what's the name of these
Do we
people?
have ITU membership? No.
Hmm?
No, we don't have ITU membership.
We do, but through our delegation participation. We don't have a TS account,
Okay.
if that is what they are requesting. Um, so apparently you don't require to be an ITU member to be part of the focus group, which is an interesting thing. ITUT A7. So that's going to be the A series. Let's see if I can find the A series somewhere. So the A series. There you go. So this was the one that I was mentioning before, the A.1, the working methods.
Yeah.
That one does not, you would expect to see there the definition of the resolutions, of the structure of a skeleton, nothing. And A2, I don't recall right now if I checked A2. It may have something. Presentation of contributions in 4 superseded. Okay. And PDF. Organization of the work of ITUT. So that the Series A basically covers everything that has to do with the organization of the work of ITUT. Let's see very quickly the index, table of contents. Contents of contribution and mechanics and presentation. Okay, that's a bit more promising. Concisely draft, okay. Contribution should not, as a rule, exceed 2,500 words. Okay, documents, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't say. Contributors are encouraged. Electronic material. Doesn't say anything. Originating, contract title, okay. Rational. proposal. No, there's nothing here. Quotations, formula, page numbering. I mean, all of this is cool because it gives you a formatting on the documents. But it doesn't say anything on what we wanted anyway. Okay. It's not going to be there then. So going back to this. So communication processes between the ITU and forums and consortia. Generic procedures for references, cooperation, focus groups. So here it tells you about establishment and working procedures. What I'm interested is to see where our ITU TFOs in a nutshell. I want to see the members. Actually, even the list of existing focus groups would be good to know. Recommendation A, da 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 da. I don't care about this right now. They can originate from within the ITUT or from an external group. Okay. Focus groups. Do we have a list of them? Ah, here. Okay. Which was the page from before, if I'm not wrong. Yes, correct. All right, so there's all of these focus groups going on. However, I do not see deliverables. No. Okay, okay, metaverse. Let's go to the metaverse one for a moment. Focus group FGMV. Okay, so FG is going to have that nomenclature at the beginning. Fine. Review and updates. Okay, there's a mailing list. Fine. Approved. That's the work plan. There is a chair and a number of contacts here. Okay, this is secretariat. Fine. Where are the members? Announcement, templates, past meetings, draft agenda, documents, practical information. Let's check very quickly on the documents just in case there's. You need a TS account. Okay. Yeah, so it's unclear to me where can we find information about participation in focus groups. However, this opens an interesting possibility for NGOs to participate if you do not require to be a member of the ATU. That's very good to know.
Going on the focus group.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, next, join coordination activities. Time check, it's 4:48.
I got the file.
You got it open?
Yep.
Take it.
Yeah, so this is what they measure. It's a bit small, isn't it? This is what they measure. It's a bit small.
You can zoom in.
So they measure individuals using the internet, household with internet access, and then there's also this thing about meaningful access. So anyone above 3G or 4G access to a mobile network, things like that. So they measure for every country, and I'm looking at Malaysia. I'm also looking at China.
I typically have issues with
China
the
here are like 99, 99, 99, 99. Wait, let me get to China in a bit. Wait, hold on. What else? So mobile broadband subscription per 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia is, oh man, now I lost it. Where is
Second to
it?
the end.
Oops. Per 100 people. Oh, that's 84. Malaysia's at 84. Okay. So that's how they measure. So this is their formula. Oh, I need to. Yeah, this one. So they measure universal connectivity and as well as meaningful connectivity, and these are their indicators.
What do they mean by meaningful?
This is what they mean by meaningful: is a percentage of the population covered by at least 3G mobile network, percentage of population covered by at least 4G network.
Yeah. I,
Yeah,
I don't understand what meaningful means. I understand that they're using those metrics. As
and
in,
yeah,
is the
consumption.
is the redundancy of the vocabulary that bothers me.
How would you call it then? Quality,
For instance,
quality.
because meaningful involves that there's a meaning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When something is meaningful, is that it carries on some type of meaning. And in order to do that, basically you
So
have,
if you have 4G, your mobile network has meaning.
yeah, correct. I mean, it's meaningful carries a connotation of, let's see if I can define this, somehow positive outcome or realization. When you lead a meaningful life, you're basically having something that is productive.
Okay.
But that productivity is measured against a set of values.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why you say it's a meaningful life.
Well, this is how they're saying they're measuring it.
So there's values there. That's my problem. Which kind of values are they using?
Apparently, having 4G is very meaningful.
Yes, that's the point. I'm not convinced with the language at all.
I mean, quality I can get, okay, quality network. Okay, cool.
It just sounds politician speak to me,
Right.
basically.
Okay. Anyway, that's how they're measuring it, and these are the results. So I need to rotate this. Okay, look at, well, so where do you want to look? Pretty much.
So the problem with that is that you would want, for instance, to compare 3 or 4.
Yeah, we can
Different-
compare similar markets, like.
Yeah, but you have to go from one page to another, getting the numbers. Where it would be great to have an actual
Filter.
analysis interface. Yeah,
Nah, no, this is PDF.
yeah, that's the issue. I mean, one of these days we'll just load the whole document to Aforai,
Right.
and
then summarize.
yes, and then just query the bot.
I mean, most of the countries are at 90. Most of them, I mean, unless you have war in your country like Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. So you see, there is an issue when it comes to development. That
But
actually there's an issue when it comes to development and when it comes to meaningful. So when I was 15, actually less than that, I remember having a conversation with someone who had been in the IT sector for quite some time. I was a child. He was the father of my best friend, and he had been he was, I believe he was working on arcades.
okay.
And he was an expert on arcade hardware and obviously all the initial computers for home use and so forth. And I remember having a conversation with him, which basically he slapped me when he said that you have more than enough capacity power with what you need. You don't need more.
Okay.
And it made me think about, when do we reach the point where the final user consumption at home has more than enough power, computing power, and why would you need to upgrade that?
Right.
And so you basically, what he was saying was, they will always release a new piece of software that makes your current hardware obsolete,
Yeah.
so that you need to buy more hardware.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
development, where is the KPI? What's the
How-
final outcome?
Yeah. What's enough?
So you deploy 6G
Yeah.
on the
Suddenly, 4G no longer meaningful.
correct.
Yeah. Exactly.
And do you really need 7G? You see where I'm going? As in, the development part needs to have a stop somewhere based on an actual objective metric of, that's it. We got the connectivity we wanted. We can just move on.
No, we haven't. We still don't have teleportation.
Yes.
We
So
need that.
So that's the thing, that there's always this and more and more and more and more. And so when you say meaningful, what do you mean exactly by meaningful?
It's the language of the study. So yeah, pretty much everyone's doing pretty okay. I think this study, I mean, despite being released quite recently, it feels outdated. Probably because of the metrics, like you said, like we shouldn't even be looking at this anymore. This is too low of a threshold.
Possibly.
Yeah.
There's a percentage of the population covered. Wow. Colombia has 100% coverage for whatever, for 3G.
Yeah, apparently.
Uh,
China is 99.
okay, so Colombia has a lot of jungle. My guess is that the definition of
looking at-
population is going to be in cities or with a certain amount of people per square meter or something like that. Because you don't have 100% country coverage. No way.
Estonia does.
Yeah, Estonia is small, and it's pretty much all concentrated in Tallinn, for all I know. As in, it's not a country with too much spreading of the population, for all I know. By the way, we also invite anyone who might be listening to this, if we ever met any erroneous assumption, just please come and tell us.
Yep.
Comment. All right.
Yeah. Okay, we can switch now.
Mhm.
We can. I mean, nothing particularly exciting here.
I mean, I would take that as an interesting test document for Aforai, though.
Right.
Just to load it and see
Yeah.
if it's able to treat things properly, and just a test drive on the platform.
Cool. I already saved it.
Yep. So we may have mentioned this before. We're going to be using a number of platforms to do some research, and some of them are, those kind of AI platforms, AI research, and that would be a very interesting document to just plug in and test the capabilities, see if it's accurate or not. Now back to the different groups in ITUT. We have these joint coordination activities. We are looking at them at the moment. So that would be quantum key distribution network, machine learning, COVID-19 certificates. Please go away. Just vanish. This COVID-19 certificate things is just terrible idea. I understand. Again, this is going to be the same thing as the CSAM. Oh, we want to protect people's health, and we want to make sure that they are safe, and you always push the button of safety, and people are happy to hear about that. It comes with a lot of potential drawbacks. It's not a good look. Accessibility and human factors, channel and protection, again. Identity management, that's something Kalia should probably be interested in. IMT 2020 and beyond. IoTs, okay. And I'm guessing, let's see the composition of this thing. terms of reference, which I imagine it would be the equivalent of the charter. There you go. Objectives, participation, official to representatives of ITU, study groups and TSAC, and all secretariat, and other relevant external bodies might be invited. You don't have direct access. So this is basically a sub-organization inside the work that the ITUT does from inside actual members of the ITUT. All right. Again, I know this is going to be a lot of work. However, I find it to be quite relevant to check on the composition of all of these groups so that we can have an idea of who is doing what. So for instance, what is the amount of people from Huawei who are participating in ITUT related activities? What is the amount of people from Japan or from the US or from France that I'm actually participating? Remember I told you about this this session in IGF 2023 Kyoto from Rasberger?
No.
So Rasberger is this research group in IRTF that looks at how standards are made, essentially, which by the way has been fully chartered.
Nice.
They passed their, I think it's 1 year of evaluation, and now they are an actual research group. That's informal. Formally, yes.
Yeah.
Officially.
Good.
And Ignacio was making a presentation whereby they had been comparing or making an evaluation as to who works with whom in IETF in the current work that has been done. And he had a bit of a heat map with different organizations. He sent me the presentation. I was asking for it. And the most relevant part was that Huawei engineers would be substantially working with other Huawei engineers. That was the biggest overlap was Huawei engineers with Huawei engineers.
Okay.
So it would be interesting, for instance, to know how many Huawei engineers are also participating in ITU, and how many of them are also participating in W3C, and how many of them may also be participating in 3GPP, etc., etc., etc. Because that would give you an idea on what is the vested interest on specific companies or governments on technical standards, and in which particular topics as well. So that's work to be done. Intersector rapporteur groups. So these are cross-sector topics. Okay, so this goes things that go across ITU-R, ITU-T, and ITU-D. Fine. What do we have? Audiovisual media accessibility. This all seems to be broadcast and audiovisual. And that is between, oh right, so between study groups. You see that? SG9, SG16 for ITUT, and then SG6 from ITU-R. Right. Cool. Okay, that's interesting. Now, collaboration on ITS communication standards. What is this? Blah, 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 blah. Not clear to me. Terms of reference. Collaboration meetings organized back-to-back with other ITS events. So they don't exist in a vacuum. They are ITS standardization in ITU. I want to see that. and then terms of reference. That's a dot. No. Study groups of the ITUT bring together experts from around the world. These international standards are defining elements of global information. Da, da, da. See, this is the kind of thing that I'm not sure. It's so weird. Numbering for in-call communication. So I see why this is related somehow with ITUT, and at the same time, some of the connections are a bit tenuous to me. There's something here that I can't really put my finger on. Just bothers me. It feels as if the ATU is really going on a mandate expansion that is not necessarily. I guess it makes a lot of sense for the relevance. I need to understand a little bit better this. Okay. Standardization Committee for Vocabulary. That could be interesting. So there's resolution 67. What does it say? Use of the ITUT of the languages of the Union on an equal footing, and the Standardization Committee for Vocabulary. I don't know what they mean by equal footing, but I'm guessing that standardization thing. Okay. All right, that makes a lot of sense. Harmonize understanding of all terms and definitions used in standardization, right? And there's a resolution from the council.
Is this what you're looking for? Isn't this what you're looking for?
For the
terminologies?
I think it was called preambles. I think that's the term that I was looking for. No, I don't believe so. I think this is the equivalent to the
must not, shall not.
Yes.
Document
I would put my money there for now. Let's see a little bit better. Represents
It defines the vocabulary you use at ITU.
Yeah, liaise. Inform TSAG once per year. Okay. So well,
doesn't look like it.
Terms and definition by the CCT.
Wow.
T sector terms and definitions. Is this the general document? Oh, come on. Really? An XLS? Committees. Are there more committees? No, that would be it. Okay. But then, okay, ITU terms and definitions database. And you have here a filtering, enforce, superseded. Okay, let's imagine IMT. Oh, this is, I don't know if this was a mobile interface or what. Back to 150. Okay, ITUT here. Recommendation.
It looks very appy.
There's 108 terms. Are you kidding me? I don't understand that this is any useful. The ITU Terms and Definitions database provides access to the official terminology of ITU. Fine. Why don't you give me one single definition for IMT? Let's say metaverse. And let's make it only ITUT. Enforce. There's nothing. Nothing is coming out.
Publication status all.
Okay.
Publication status.
Yeah.
Select all. Yeah.
Nothing is coming up. Okay. I got no idea
What
how this.
about
Tell me.
just say preamble or recognizing?
It's thinking apparently.
Think faster. You got 4G.
Data preamble, ADO preamble. Okay.
Wow.
Preamble symbol. Preamble symbol. Let's see.
Recognizing.
I don't have the feeling that they
Further
have this kind of
considering.
definition in there. This seems to be more for technical nature.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, there's no results there. Let's try again, but no. Let's see. Quantum is going to be too generic. IDN. Internationalized domain name. Okay. Integrated digital network. All right, so they have them as superseded as well as definition here. And is it that, what do they mean by recommendation?
Wow.
1080. Okay, right. Biology to machine protocol. What? Biometric information. How could this be related to IDNs? If the IDN that they use has to do with internationalized domain
What's
name.
the IDN?
It's a poorly named concept, in my opinion.
Yeah, what is it?
It's essentially.
What does it stand for? IDN.
See if I can define this. So pay attention to the construction of the term. It is not international domain name. It's internationalized domain name.
Oh, okay.
Which means something was not international before.
Yeah, it's a verb.
Huh?
Yeah, it became a verb.
Correct.
You
By making it a verb, you are basically implying that something wasn't that before.
Yeah. Okay.
So something that is cooked is something that was not cooked before.
Yeah.
It has gone through the process of being cooked.
Yeah.
IDNs are essentially the attempt to have domain names written in as many scripts as possible.
Isn't that universal access?
The universal access is to have those recognized.
Okay.
Universal access is the method through which IDNs are recognized in every single platform.
Okay.
Client, server, whatever. So the argument here is that ASCII, which is the script at which domain names were originally used, basically
Mm-hmm.
the existing ASCII code, it's not international.
It's not what?
It's not international. That's the implication by calling any script except ASCII is international, but not ASCII,
Okay.
which is a poorly constructed idea. To my understanding, ASCII has been used for domain names across the internet for decades.
Mm.
There's no more international than that. You see the point I'm making?
Not really.
There is an implication that ASCII is not international. Because internationalized domain names is anything but ASCII. So Jawi, Hanzi, Hangul,
Yeah.
Cyrillic. So those apparently are international, but ASCII isn't,
Right.
which is a very stupid idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I see what you're doing. Okay.
It's a poorly constructed idea.
So, what is this document talking about? Transferring biometric data into machine.
Yes, that's why I'm not 100% sure how is this related at all with IDNs.
Right.
It surprises me, but I mean, it's somewhere around there. I'm not going to do the research right now. I got my beef with IDNs. I'm not happy with it at all. Not the way it's being constructed. I understand the use for it, and I understand the use case scenarios where it may help. I also think that we had an already agreed upon codification to be able to describe where to find machines, and expanding that to other scripts is just going to make things very, very difficult for everybody. When people could just have learned how to use that one. Listen, the other day I had a conversation with this, and someone came up with a very, very good example. The current flag signaling in marine law come apparently from the British.
Okay.
Or something along those lines. They did not translate that in different scripts.
Yeah.
People who wanted to use the code learn how to use the code and use the same flags, so that everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, you don't translate the Morse code either.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So it might not be something that you have invented. Yeah, tough luck. But if you want to be able to talk to each other in a common language, and allow people to be able to send information to each other in a way that everyone understands, well, everyone has to get into the same page. The example that I gave is you, Mariam, can drive in Estonia because the language, the symbols that are used in the driving code are the same.
Mostly.
Exactly. I mean, and correct. There's going to be some signs that you only find in Estonia. As you know, you go to the US, certain signs, you only found them there. Fine. But on the big scheme of things, the most important ones are standardized.
Yeah, that's right.
And so there, I see.
Crossing,
Yeah.
the traffic
Stop.
light.
Yeah, I mean, red is red everywhere.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
And so what concerns me is that we were already on the way to have a unified way to describe domain names and information. And all of a sudden, just because, we want to reach this last 3 billion. Well, how about the 3 billion get education and they learn English to be able to do this? What's the problem? There's no problem. I learn English in order to be able to move around in the world. I don't complain. It's you adapt to the situation. The situation shouldn't be adapting to you all the time. And I see the danger on, for instance, passing me sharing with you domain name on a script that you don't know. How are you going to be sure I'm not phishing you?
Exactly, yeah.
So you already have problem with google.com versus google.com. So how many people actually have gotten absolutely derailed by domain names that were too similar to a very famous one? And oreo.com, orao.com. And someone from India never had an Oreo before, and they think that's the way to do it because the pronunciation, I don't know. I'm just inventing. And all of a sudden that domain makes sense to them, and they go over there and they just get into a scam. it's expanding all of that seems so dangerous to me. I know the ICANN has been doing a lot of work on it. I'm not convinced at all. I want to have a deeper look on the idea and work, because it seems to me to be a very dangerous thing at this stage. All right, so what's the CTO group? See if we can finish with the groups already.
The brightness of the screen is hurting my eyes.
They adopted in Hammamet meetings of high-level private sector executives to discuss the standardization landscape. Are you kidding me? Wow. I had no idea about this. Wow.
The what?
This is an actual chief telecommunication officer meeting upon private sector executives of high-level organizations. Sorry, I'm reading it, I'm rephrasing it improperly. Organize meetings of high-level private sector executives to discuss the standardization landscape, identifying and coordinating standards priorities and ways to best meet the needs of the private sector. Who the hell is here? Who?
It's not happened yet. It's gonna happen in Dubai.
Previous meetings. This has been happening ever since 2016.
Okay.
Because
Sorry,
that was
I was looking at the wrong thing.
So it's resolution 68. Evolving role of the industry of the AT2. Yada. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one to have a look at as well. Now, who... Group photo. This is when I wouldn't mind some facial recognition. Who is here? These aren't that many, you know.
For a planet of 8 billion people, no.
And how many tech companies are out there?
What, the big ones?
Yeah, this doesn't sound to me like too many. Also, how are they appointed? Who joins? How do they join? And the only information is you can just reach out to the deputy director of the TSB. There's an advisory group. You need to have authentication. This is very, very gateway. Telecom review of the Leaders Summit. What is this?
What is CXO? Chief Experience Officer?
No, CXO is you replace the X by number of letters: CEO, CTO, CFO.
Oh, okay.
And you need login to get this. What the hell? Practical information. I don't know what you mean, man. You're definitely not allowing us to go and find the information that we want. Contacts, Bilal Jamusi. Okay, previous meeting. See if we can find... This was 2023. Let's see if we can find the communique. CXO meeting, CSO roundtable. Okay, let's see what happens here. Dubai, okay, communicate. Come on. There's nothing. That's really non-transparent. So the communique is just the output.
Announcing the meeting.
No, the output. This is what we discussed. And that's what we claim. So blockchain has the potential to fortify trust in the era of big data and AI.
Oh.
Yes, and so
Very enlightening.
CXOs encourage ITU develop standards capable of supporting the data security and interoperability that today form key challenges to data element circulation. Blah. It's all
Words.
fluffy stuff. Quantum information technologies are expected to have a transformative impact on future network architectures. You don't say. Okay, is this the participating organizations? AB Handshake Corporations, Afina One, Bahrain Network, Emirates Integrated, FNS Value. Huh. We know people. Global Voice, Global Matrix, Handro, Huawei, Japan, Jinan. Is there Nippon Telegraph? Oredo Group. Okay, that's a telecom group for sure. State Grid of China, Technology Innovation Institute, doesn't say from where. North America, Telecom Review, North America, Telephone AB, Ericsson, Trace, ZTE. That's not that many. There is absolutely not that many. This is very interesting. And let's say 2022, the communique. I also find it so interesting how French language can be found in all of these things. Okay, so in Dubai there were this, and in online. All right. So IBM was there, Nokia, Huawei, and then online, AT&T, Fujitsu. No, Fujitsu wasn't in the following one. I don't know. This is strange. This is strange. Gotta have a look, deeper look at that. So TSB directors ad hoc group on intellectual property rights. I guess this is going to be quite straightforward. Patent policy, software copyright guidelines. Marks guidelines. I don't know what marks are. Any idea? What could marks be?
If I'm not mistaken, that's labeling. Labeling.
It will be trademarks?
Yeah. Huh? No.
What are marking guidelines?
Yeah. It's
No.
there's a program called ITU Mark, which is like standardization on the labels for the hardware mark. So ITU Mark program is about promoting the conformance of companies, the labels that ITU endorses.
Right. Guidelines related to the inclusion of marks in ITUT recommendations.
ITU Mark, yeah. Sounds like an ITU Mark thing.
Okay, working methods. So this one, for instance, meets during the TSAC meetings.
I'm starting to wonder if it actually takes a lifetime of someone's career to actually
To understand the whole thing?
understand the whole
Yeah.
thing.
It's not done overnight, that's for sure.
So insane.
And then this joint task force. Submarine telecommunications, cables, for ocean
Amazing.
and climate monitoring and disaster warming. World Meteorological Organization. Okay. Yeah, nothing that would be related to what we do. Okay. All right, so that would be for the groups. And as you can see, there's a lot of them and the structure is quite complex. Would be nice to have an actual diagram of this, so we will work on it and we'll revisit this information eventually. I quickly want to go and see what the BSG is. Bridging the standardization gap. Which gap? So strategic objectives. Yeah, so and at the Plenipot, if I'm not wrong, they also establish those. What are the objectives, the strategic objectives for the next cycle?
Mm-hmm.
And this may be one of them. It's two strategic pillars itself, fosters collaboration, innovation, a global scale. Central to the mission of value. I don't know what they mean with these things. It's all of this language is always so vague to me. Development, implementation, okay, sure. Resources and partnership, sure. BSG trainings, they do fellowships. Something our dear listeners could be interested in. Representatives from developing and least developed countries can apply for fellowships to participate. Their participation, there you go. Hello, Malaysian technologists. Register for the ITU event, fill out the fellowship application. Okay. So full, partial, nothing new. Those are references, but I don't see that there is a specific. Yeah, they're not. It's generic information. They're not giving you here a list of the fellowships that might be available at the moment. So you have to go to the specific event and figure out if the event has fellowships, and then okay.
How do you get alerted? I guess.
All of these things typically hush hush, so that only those who are in the know get to know. National Standardization Secretariat. Member states may wish to coordinate the standard activities with the ITU. Okay. Loading. Functions of a National Standardization Secretariat. I don't believe Malaysia has one. Not sure that they may want to have it. ITU team membership categories. What is this? So yeah, so this must be just something about accomplishing one of the pillars for the ITU. Okay. These are different steps that they are working on. What? Tap into data and analytics from our study groups. Want to find out more about what we do? Why not take our quiz? And where's the quiz? Where's the quiz? Take a quiz. almost at the end of the page. Oh, let's have some fun,
Cool.
Mariam. Yeah.
Why not?
Ooh,
Test our knowledge.
I'm so excited.
Oh, it's a Google form.
Oh, come on.
Gross.
This just killed me.
We can exit. Let's just exit.
Okay, which of the ITU outputs and publications have you referenced or used, if any, so far in your daily work? So basically, you're probing me. You're not giving me any information. How is this a quiz?
It's a quiz for you.
Yeah.
To them.
Yeah, it's a survey for them. How have you used ITU puts blah blah blah? Which ITU recommendation is used in your country? My gosh. And it keeps going. What are the main challenges? What possible measures? Human rights are UN priority. Which it okay. I got no word. I have no words. Okay, out. I'm out of here.
What is this program? Green Digital.
What else? Regional presence. I think we already looked into this. Offices. Regional preparatory meetings. That's something we haven't participated into. But they are.
This is ITV.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
That's why we haven't been there. We've been attending ITUT.
No, but they are also RPMs.
Okay.
Actually, I think they're called IRTs, inter-regional.
Oh, okay.
IRMs, inter-regional meetings. So I'm going to the regional presence. There's also RPMs. It takes me back from here. What's going on? Okay, I'm not crazy. So if I look at the regional presence from standardization, it takes me to ITUT.
Oh.
Yeah. And
So I guess they're the same page.
unless there's an error here, so the way that I can try to double check it is hack a little bit the URL. Nope. And how about no pages? No. Okay, so whatever. Now let's have a quick look at standards. So the ITUT generates recommendations. Funny thing is that then they say recommendations are standards. Okay, how about you call them standards directly? But they are non-binding. That's probably why. Okay. So ITU recommendations. So there's a whole gamut of there. There's ITU handbooks as well. All right, so over 4,000 recommendations. Bam. So recommendation series structure. There you go. And so you can have a look at here each of one of the letters. So if I go to N, that would be International Sound Program Television, measuring equipment for ITU-O, and I think X will definitely be the one that interests us, with as well Y. Numbering, addressing, and naming.
How did you get here?
From the standards, from the standards menu,
Step.
and that's the recommendations.
Okay.
That's basically the whole list of RFC equivalents.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
exactly. But does it link? Is it link or is just the name?
So it's the name, because I can't see. There's no links on the whole thing
Okay.
here.
So it's an index.
Yeah, but it doesn't really. It's a non-interactive index. I wanna see if I can find. So that's the structure. Isn't there here? So, but they say free download. Free download. There's no downloads anywhere here. Keyword search, latest ITT recommendations. So there's gonna be a difference between alternative approval process and traditional one. There is some type of equivalency somewhere with ISO IEC. Okay. So if I go to the Y here, so if I go through the letter of the series on this table here, which we saw before, by the way, I'm able to go to the document. If I go to the series structure, there's another website here, but come on, that's a very small link. Recommendations by series. Okay. X series. Okay, we go back to that filtering there. The directory. So 509 for PKI. And if we select the document, yala. Okay, it gives you the document. So there are ways to download it. It's just not on the initial list. Role extensions. This is such an oldie. Okay. See, in the list they give you here, they don't. It doesn't lead you to the document itself. It's just an index of the whole thing. Interesting. There's recommendations for application by region.
I'm going through programs and activities. Basically, I honestly don't know how I got here.
Anything interesting?
I think so. Yeah. So not so much on the standard development side of ITU, or on the programmatic side of ITU. So ITU has some programs with different topics. So right now I'm looking at um, ITUD priorities. So based on their priority areas, they identify topics that they have programs in. So emergency telecommunication, network and digital infrastructure, digital services, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then under each of them, there's like a program. Like for example, there's this program called Green Digital Action that has several initiatives like reducing the ICT sector GHG emissions
Mm-hmm.
by asking them to be accountable and transparent in their reporting. Yay. And then there's this activity to drive the adoption of international green standards. We can switch to my screen for a while. How do I do that actually? Oh, Tristan does it. Oh, yeah.
Tristan does it.
Thanks, Tristan. So, oh, okay. Thank you, Tristan. Sorry. Um, and then there's this thing. Uh,
Go on.
yeah. So and then there's this program for like technology and climate change. Uh, working on like early warning systems, leveraging digital technologies to foster climate resilience. Yeah. So I have not really seen personally this side of ITU. Um, most of the time, we see just the standardization work side, right? And this programmatic side of ITU is something that is more like a good to know kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very NGO-y, the programs.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's it's like the ITU has an NGO arm.
How well do they operate is another story.
Yeah, that one I'm not sure, but yeah.
Green
So
digital
sorry.
option action.
Yeah, digital action. So yeah, I didn't know this before. Now I know that ITU doesn't just have standardization work; they also have programs.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. We can switch back to you.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So there's this thing called TechnologyWatch. That is, I find it interesting to showcase how the ITU works with the ITUT works with the resolutions.
Mm.
So according to this page, apparently this technology watch was established by the TSB in response to a resolution 22 from 2004 and was formalized through resolution 66 in 2008, which was then also revisited in 2012. Now, at the end of it, so they explained what it was supposed to be doing was basically checking on what was the upcoming and trending technologies and how to bring them into the ITUT. What I find interesting to showcase how this works is that the last line says very clearly that resolution 666 was suppressed by WTSA 20. And so looking at the list of resolutions, you would see that 66 doesn't exist anymore. And that is because when you look at the existing resolutions, you always look at the 22 edition, which is the one currently in use at the moment. And you will see that there are gaps. The 3, 4, 5, and 6 don't exist. That's because they existed at some point. They got revisited or not, and at some point they just got retired. And that was just a perfect example. It was suppressed. That might be the technical term for it. And so if we wanted to see what 66 was, we should go to 2016, I'm guessing. Let's see if we can find resolutions for previous other editions. There you go here. So you see on the bottom, you have the T resolution website, and on the bottom 2016.
Yeah.
Should be able to go to 66, correct. Technology Watch in the Telecommunications Standardization Bureau. And then on the 20, it got snatched out. That's cool. I'm curious about back in 2000. 2, 3, and 4 are from earlier than that. Yeah, we're also going to do a timeline of the resolutions, how they have been existing
How are we gonna do that?
with the mapping,
Okay.
because they're basically an object, just like any other.
Okay. You know that can actually be a PhD thesis.
I know. I know. And hopefully we can find some funding to support the research. And if not, we'll just carry on. We have a say in Spanish, what would you do without me? And typically the answer is same thing, just slower.
Oh, look, I'm at the ITU Connect 2030 agenda. You want to take a look?
Where's that? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Tristan, could you please? All right, thank you. So, okay, I'm just seeing this for the first time. By the way, that's your favorite word again, meaningful connectivity. So, I guess we are now going into the 2024 phase, setting the baseline for the strategic goals. Click
Okay.
to see
Hold on.
sports. Let me see.
Hold on.
I'm clicking.
It's even worse. It's even
What?
worse. It's universal meaningful connectivity.
Okay.
Okay.
What? They want to do good.
Do they?
Universal quality, high quality connectivity.
Yeah, I also need a definition for quality.
Right. Okay. Sustainable digital transformation. Okay. So targets by 2027. We don't have to look at this anymore. The 2023. Forget that. So broadband services to be affordable, blah blah. Okay, universal access to the internet. Okay, not the UA by ICANN. Okay, but this is more like accessibility thing.
Yeah.
Whoa, all digital gaps to be bridged.
Yes, keep dreaming. So to begin with, the universal, what was the exact term? I don't want to get it wrong. The connectivity thing, yeah. What was it?
Universal access to the internet by all individuals.
Yes. Okay. So I got qualms with that.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with people having the opportunity to connect.
Okay.
But I don't want them to be connected, as in having to be connected.
Yeah. You
I don't
should
want it
have
to
the
be-
right to disconnect. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And trying to push for everyone to be connected to me is a bit creepy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as when I hear, oh, we need to have programs to bank the unbanked. And
Yeah,
the first thing that crosses my mind is to control their money.
Right.
So to give the possibility of people to be able to engage into banking operations should they need or want to,
Yeah.
that's fine. You're basically open up possibilities. Now to force them to have a bank account, you end up in a very dangerous place. And we know already what happened in Canada, where basically the government decided to shut down accounts.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, during the trucker protest.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Universal usage of internet services by businesses. Majority of individuals to have digital skills. Majority of individuals accessing government services online.
Again, you have to give me a KPI for majority.
Let's say 75%.
I know,
of the
but I
population.
mean, you shouldn't be the one. They should be the ones giving us the numbers. But my issue is always the same. You speak a big game and then you don't give me a KPI, so I don't know how to measure whether you are.
Can I actually expand this? Oh, look at that.
Focus mode.
Can.
There you go.
Amazing. I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah. Well, apparently they
Okay.
did not.
What's this? A filter? Okay. There are any filters. Okay, cool.
That's an
See, this
interesting
is much
interface.
better.
Oh, it's Microsoft Power BI,
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay.
Business
That's
Intelligence.
okay.
It's essentially a glorified reporting system.
Okay. Next page. Hello. Okay.
Hold on, can you go back? Can you go back?
Okay.
What
Yeah.
in the? What did you just read there?
No, because it took a while to load, so I thought it was not
Yeah,
loading.
yes, no, I want to go to the first one
First,
because there's a subheader there that I found interesting.
expand.
No, no, no. Okay, so 2020 and 2023, those are the final results. And the plan 24-27 is setting a baseline. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by that. Okay. Okay.
If the baseline is only ready in 2027, that means when is the whole project gonna be implemented, and when are you measuring the end line?
Yeah, and the thing in blue, what are the pillars? So growth, inclusiveness, sustainability, and innovation and partnership. And
I'm
5
clicking.
partnership for whatever reason they made that into one single item, 4 and 5.
Click. Oh, I clicked on it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it brought me.
Right to slide number 6,
Okay.
or page number 6. The
Wow.
percentage of schools with access to internet for pedagogical purposes.
Oh,
Is it always though?
I mean, it's about increasing access to education.
Ideally. I got no problem with education. I've got a lot of problems with the other types of usage. Or the other types of motives, let's say.
Let's see. This is more on e-waste stuff. Okay, sustainable. National plans for emergency telecommunications. Ooh.
Homes, Connect 2030, growth, inclusiveness, sustainability. Seriously, I still don't know what the hell they mean by sustainability. That's another buzzword to me.
Okay.
E-waste.
Oh, sorry. Am I going too fast? Should I go back to?
Yeah, just one second. See what are the concepts that they are considering there. Having e-waste legislation, national emergency telecommunication plan. I'm not 100% sure how that relates to sustainability at all. Um, I'm always confused about what they are achieved, or what they attempt to achieve with the so-called sustainability. It's very unclear to me.
This is more like the impact of ICT to the environment. The ICT.
Yeah,
But yeah, it does fall under sustainability of the environment to sustain the ICT sector.
hmm.
I mean, because if we are taking up resources and we don't have a plan to replenish them, then we cannot sustain the usage of the ICT devices that we're using.
Yeah, so I can understand that for rare minerals.
Uh huh.
Um, and of course, there's always going to be controversy when it comes to how certain things are obtained. And we discussed this before, that one of my main concerns when it comes to opening the tech stack is that you might want to open source a lot of things, including microprocessors designs and so forth, which is already happening. You're always going to have one specific choke point, which is the raw materials. So even if you consider that you have the possibility of having enough money to have what's the term now, a clean room to be able to print out microprocessors, which is a very expensive endeavor,
Okay.
who is going to be supplying you with the raw materials?
Mm.
Because the problem is,
Materials are finite.
not only that, is that they are controlled by licenses.
Mm.
So you need to mine them.
Mm.
Who gives you the license to mine? The government.
Mm-hmm.
So that is never going to be open sourced.
No.
There is no such thing as, bunch of people deciding to take a shovel and start digging and get some copper. Not happening.
Okay.
Silicium, what? Cobalt, what? And I'm not even getting into the actual rare metals that you require to do sophisticated technology.
Okay.
Was it coltan?
So
Coltan was one of them.
that's essentially the connectivity agenda. It's basically on these two pillars: connectivity and sustainability.
Yeah, coltan is one of the rare metals that are used.
Mm.
Columbite tantalite. It's a metal ore, and when it's refined, it becomes a heat-resistant powder, apparently called metallic tantalum, and is used for its unique storing electrical charge properties.
You want to switch back to you? Are we done with the groups?
Yeah, let's go very quickly. We're checking on the standards. We're pretty much done for today. We could try to recap a little bit. Yeah, so standards is over there. Let's see very quickly on the resources if there's anything interesting. So learning. Oh, here. That's interesting.
What?
I mean, this is the kind of tab that I would have put at the very beginning of the list.
Right. Resources.
The resources, yeah. So I would have reshuffled this order and have about ITUT first, fine, because you want to know what you're talking about, and then the next one, resources. Because you got here everything.
Oh, there you are.
The Delegate guide, the presentations, the recommendations by series and study group. Hello.
Click on it. See how it looks like.
So recommendations by series and study group. Okay, this we've been to this screen. Fine.
Oh, yeah, okay. Cool.
However, for instance, they clearly state over here what did I say? The working rules, and there's even an online training. You're kidding me?
Awesome.
Oh, because there's an ITU Academy, by the way.
You are not authorized.
I haven't logged in.
Oh,
But I can check on that. We have an account.
You do? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal account. You just go and register yourself.
Okay.
Nothing big. Working rules are here. There you go. This is just fantastic. This is all the applicable documentation at the moment.
Okay.
So the Constitution, the Convention, and the general rules, these are the ground regulations for ITUT, for ITU. And then you have the proceedings from the latest WTSA, as well as the Resolution 1 and 2 for working methods. The plenipot from 2022, the final acts, this also determines. So if you start taking the regulations from this first one, from the Constitution, all the way down,
Yeah.
you basically have your flow of applicable regulations.
Mhm.
That's exactly how it goes. So we could go very quickly to the ITUT Constitution. Which has how many pages? 66 pages. I'm not going to read them all, obviously.
Yeah. Send it to Afori.
Yep. Instruments. So the instruments of the Union are this Constitution and the Convention of the International Telecommunication Union. Okay. That's a very interesting document to look for. The convention is here, and the general rules
We should
also
have
here.
started here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If that thing would have been on the other side. Anyway.
Electronic working methods, my workspace and IT applications. They even give you a workspace?
Yes, there's a
Wow.
workspace for working things. Okay, so this is cool. What else? A guideline for fully
That
virtual
is amazing.
meetings. This is good. This is a good resource page. Look, they even have remember we were looking at the resolutions that went through the alternative approval process and the traditional approval process. There you go. There's even an overview and comparison. This is good job, guys. And it even tells you which recommendation is the one that okay. We're gonna be finishing this episode on a happy note. And there's going to be a presentation here. Okay, that's cool. That's stuff that we can look into other episodes more calmly. ITUT what is the ITUT templates? I'm getting excited now. This
I'm actually looking at the workspace. It's actually quite good.
look at this recommendation skeleton template. Oh, it's a doc. Damn it. Do we have anything? Okay, I'm gonna take note here to be able to get ready for
WTSA.
no for doc.
Oh.
Able to open doc X. I mean, probably. Drop this. Let me see. Open up, open up. Why are you not letting me upload this? Exactly. What's your problem? No, I should be able to just drop it there. I'm just gonna create a folder. Yeah, but normally you should be able to just drop and drag and drop. It's just strange. I'll delete this anyway later. Yeah, and how come I cannot see anymore the... Still not. Okay. File upload. Show us. Okay, yes, this is the intro, summary, mandate, okay, references, definitions. Okay, clause, body of annex. Oh, shut up. Convention, biography. No. Yeah, so it basically only tells you the preamble, but not the actual structure of
Further considering
for the resolution. Yeah.
Taking into consideration,
Yeah.
bearing in mind.
None of that.
I think people just make that up, man.
It has to be somewhere. We'll figure it out at some
I
point.
mean, if it's not in the official template,
I swear on my honor.
further considering.
Yeah. Implement this technical paper, technical report, justification template, liaison statements. I mean, this is good. This is good that they have all of these templates.
Yeah. It's
Oh, did I close this too fast? No.
we should just bookmark this page and forget everything else.
Authors. Oh, wait, hold on. Author's guide for drafting ITUT recommendations.
I hope they have videos.
What is this?
Oh, more words, of course. Ah,
It's 30 pages. Recommendations, conventions, abbreviations and acronyms, definitions, conventions, description of core material, keywords, mandatory, page 3. Normative reference. Oh my gosh. Seriously? Keywords, mandatory, element, recommendation. These are for the recommendations, not for the resolutions. Right, is this for the standards? Okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Right.
Oh, Tristan, could you please share my screen for a bit, just before we close? I want to show this workspace. I think it's quite cool. I've never used it. It's my first time seeing this, but
Mm-hmm.
looks really good. It looks like like any other LMS, but it's pretty well
Yeah, it
designed.
looks well designed.
Yeah.
If you go to my events, can you
Okay.
add anything on there?
Let's see. I think
Oh, so you need to log in first,
yeah, you
actually.
need to look in.
Yeah.
But this is great. I just want to show this before we end the session. Ah, see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll see what we can do about that. Hold on a
Shall we
second.
just create a user account then?
I don't know that you can. So you can create an account which is not a TS account to have access to certain facilities, but I still believe that you need to identify yourself. So we need to do it off camera first and have it ready.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Wait. Where did I see it just now? Workspace. Oh, here. Here it is. My workspace and IT applications.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's on top.
So yeah, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Great.
Um.
And a lot.
Yep.
And I got dizzy. Oh my god.
All right, so let's recap a little bit on what we've been looking into today. We were analyzing a first approach to the International Telecommunications Union and specifically into one of the three sectors. The three sectors are radio communication, standardization, and development, specifically ITUR, ITUT, and ITUD. And we've been focusing specifically on ITUT. We've checked on the different groups and structures that are comprised by ITUT and the function of that sector, which is particularly working on standards. We've been looking into the different types of groups and focusing a little bit on the study groups. And so the idea is that every single cycle of 4 years, you would have these plenipot meetings that establish
Every 4 years.
every 4 years, yes, the work of the general ITU. And under that, the ITUT has its own event called the WTSA, the World Standards Telecommunication Assembly, that also meets every 4 years and will establish the direction, the composition of the study groups, and what are the objectives or the mandates for each of one of them, as well as the working methods and so forth. And by working methods, basically it means how they do things. Each of one of those study groups work independently. They meet in Geneva. I am not aware that they meet anywhere else, except very likely on the regional presence that we saw.
Yeah.
Those are likely to happen regionally. And by the way, if you want to have a look at what are the events that are happening on the ITUT, you can just go to that particular page and you will see here all of them. It's a ton of them. I do not believe that this is available through an ICS type of calendar, which is a shame. It may be somewhere. I don't believe it is. I haven't seen it so far. When it comes to technical protocols, communications, networking, you're probably going to be interested on SG 13, study group 13, as well as study group 17. And we definitely recommend you to have a look at what those study groups are doing and looking into the participation. We also checked out the membership, how to participate in ITUT. And one of the things that we found interesting was to discover that aside from, of course, being very expensive to participate as an independent organization into the structure, there is this thing called the focus groups. As a focus group, I want to get the name properly. Yes. Which you would be able to participate outside of a membership environment. So that's an interesting way to...
Makes it more accessible
Yeah.
for NGOs.
Slightly more. I mean, nothing beats the ITF and ICANN at this point. W3C into a regard, but W3C has its own membership problem, so...
Yeah.
And I would say that that's it. We should be looking a bit deeper as well on what's the actual structure and communication between each of one of the groups. We will get to that, and again, once we start mapping and both into the actual visual representation of the mapping as well as the stack that we're working on, things are going to be a little bit more clear. I would say that's it, and thank you for watching the episode. Thank you for everything. Thanks, Mariam. Thanks, Tristan. And we'll see you on the next one, which is happening. If I can check very, very quickly, the next one is going to be, let's see. Do you guys know?
No.
I gotta check.
Not at the moment.
I'm gonna quickly, I should have this already on, it will be on the 18th, and we're going to be looking, APT if I'm not wrong. Yes, exactly. The regional organization that handles
18, is that before or after?
that will be right before we go to APT WTSA 24/5, as basically the fifth regional meeting preparation for WTSA, fifth and last one that will be taking place in Bangkok. We will also have a look as to whether we can do some small streaming from Bangkok itself, but again, it's kind of a restricted environment, so anything that may happen will happen outside of the doors of the meeting. But I don't know if maybe I can give some updates or something on a mini stream. We'll see. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye.